All right. So just to start, I will be sharing the link to this presentation in the Zoom chat so that you can access the course description link and the course schedule numbers. Not every professor who has a 313 or 413 class will be presenting today or shared a video, but for the classes that aren't featured, feel free to read those course descriptions. Those are really helpful resources as well. And then to get started with the Honors 313 classes, the first one we will be going over is Pandemic Policymaking to Survive and Thrive.
Thank you, Maya. Thanks for the invitation. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Gary Rotto, and I'm on faculty in the School of Public Health. And I created this class about 2 years ago during the pandemic when I was invited to teach a course for 313, which was 313 section 8. And this is a course that talks not just about the current pandemic and what you've been living through, but really creates a framework for looking through a multidisciplinary lens at any pandemic, because there have been pandemics throughout the history of time and mankind. The class is offered on Tuesday and Thursday from 5:30 to 6:45. It's very participatory. I lecture for a little bit. And then we have class discussion in any different ways, from individual to duos or trios. Sometimes we do a group mini project right there in class and report back. The class is very, very involved. There are 4 different aspects of the class, from a group project to a values and discussion post-reflection to a final paper where you actually become an expert in one particular pandemic. The heart of the course is a book called The Ghost Map, which is by Stephen Johnson. It's written as if it is a mystery, a murder mystery, but it is a piece of nonfiction, and it's really about the dawn of epidemiology in London in the 1950s. That becomes the heart of our discussion. So you can tell that there's a bit of literature. I come from a public health background, so we talk about public health and health policy, but there's also some project management, a little bit of math to understand about some different aspects of a pandemic. Really a lot of different ways of incorporating other types of disciplines into the study of pandemic. That's a quick spiel about the class. I don't know, Maya, if you want, if folks have questions, if you want to hold that to the end, but what have I left out?
I think that sounded great. If anyone has any questions, I'd say now would be the time. But if not, I think that was a great overview of the course, and it sounds really interesting.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to move forward, and if anyone wants to ask any questions in the chat, go ahead. But the next class that we will be talking about is Dystopian Literature, Visions of the Not So Distant Future.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm Sequoia Stone, although I did actually get married last November, so my last name is now Serrato, but I'm going through the endless name change process. But for lack of confusion, as it's on the schedule, Stone. So I'm teaching a dystopian literature course. And what I'm trying to do is have it be about hope in dystopia, which can feel very difficult sometimes, and especially as we face untold challenges right now. But I'm really kind of shaping it off of this quote by the science fiction fantasy author Octavia Butler, who we will be reading this semester, who once wrote, "The one thing that I and my main characters never do when contemplating the future is give up hope. In fact, the very act of trying to look ahead to discern possibilities and offer warnings is in itself an act of hope." So this semester we'll be turning to movies, TV, graphic novels, and regular novels to both explore their possibilities and their warnings, and try to find a little bit of hope through that as well. The classes in terms of the meat of them will be really discussion based. Mostly we'll come to class having read the primary texts for that class session, and sometimes secondary texts as well. And then They'll be primarily discussion based. There will be some small group work sometimes. There might be some in-class writing. There will be, as one of the smaller assignments throughout the semester, groups will be assigned either a text that they will draft discussion questions on and bring those into class to kind of help their peers dive a little deeper into the material. Our secondary readings can range from critical theory to picture books, and then we'll be bringing those in to support the work we're doing with our primary texts. In terms of, so we'll have the smaller assignments like the discussion questions, some of the in-class work. In terms of more major assignments, our midterm is a creative project where you can select one of our course texts and kind of craft a creative project based off of it. It can be as simple as a playlist, as complicated as a painting. I really love when students just go wild with something like that. And then our final for the class will be a final literary research paper, like 8 pages. Again, a lot of flexibility in terms of the topic and where you want to go with that. So I think it will be as fun as dystopian literature can be. So I think that's basically the overview of what I have in mind for it right now. So thank you.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for sharing. Once again, any questions can go in the chat. Up next, we have collective well-being, the intersection of wellness and social justice.
Thank you so much, Maya. My name is Anusha Wijayakuma, and I am truly delighted to be leading this lecture on collective well-being and the intersection of wellness and social justice. I myself am an author, a speaker, and I've guest lectured for the past year as part of the Department of Religions at SDSU on yoga philosophy. And my work is actually around the intersection of science and wellness. And what we've probably all noticed over the past few years specifically has been the anti-science rhetoric and the opposite of collective well-being with this rise of rife individualism. So this course will really be unpacking what the work of decolonization means, what collective well-being means, and what that looks like for each and every one of us, and the impact that that has around health inequities, injustice, oppression, and how that continues to harm communities of color specifically. There'll be different weekly assignments, predominantly reading, that will be assigned each week. We'll meet every Monday from 3:30 to 6:10 p.m. And there will be a creative project that will also be assigned around the creation of a podcast, which really kind of looks at exploring your own lens, especially for those of you who are part of the dominant culture. So we can really listen and learn from each other. And we can really commit to unlearning and relearning, which is a vital part of decolonization. We'll also be exploring the harmful nature of anti-science rhetoric and how that's really impacted on communities over the past year in America, and the need to believe in science and what that looks like for each and every one of us. We'll be exploring vaccine hesitancy, vaccine skepticism, and unpacking why communities of color have more hesitancy around and have had more hesitancy around vaccinations. We'll be exploring white supremacy and the impact that has on each of us in our daily lives. So I'm delighted to be able to be teaching this, and I look forward to answering any questions if there are any, and excited to be a part of this collective with each and every one of you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Sounds like such an interesting course. The one that we have coming up next is surfing and the anthropological lens.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Kabari. I teach in the anthropology department. So this class is really fun. I taught it for the first time last fall. And what we do with this class is we look at surf culture, but use it as a conduit to explore broader themes by looking at issues of identity, looking at issues of power dynamics, and how a lot of this is actually embedded within the surf culture and the surfing narrative, access to the beach and who has access and how how the kind of the globalization of surfing has affected so many communities. And by the anthropological lens, we look at all the layers that go into exploring this surf culture. And hopefully as the semester progresses, every week there'll be a writing assignment. This is an entirely discussion-based class. So we'll be looking at readings and then discussing these readings and moving forward. The final project is actually using what we have learned throughout class about these power dynamics, about identity, and exploring something. Most time it's what you're going to be majoring in, but it's anything you're interested in. For example, my previous class, I had a student look at power and gender dynamics within disco culture, and it was really fun to explore different interests of the students and really bring this with this lens forward. The final in this class is going to be beach cleanup, because we are going to be looking at sustainability as well. And yeah, it's a very fun class. I'm very excited to be able to teach it again. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. That sounds great. The next few classes we actually have for 313s are recorded videos that are sent in. And just for the sake of everyone's time who's come here to spoke, I'm going to skip forward to the 413 courses just so all the professors who took the time out of their day can speak first, and then the students who'd like to stay for the videos can stay longer for that as well. So just skipping forward a few. We have for the first 413 class, Healers in the Healing from Around the World.
Hi, I am Professor Andres, and I work in the anthropology department. This course will examine a variety of perspectives and systems in relationship to health and healing from around the world. Some examples are traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic, meditation, different practices from all over the world, right? Wise women and wise men. And this also includes Western biomedical system as a cultural system. And with all of this, right, we kind of look at not only what are the cultural practices, but also what is the scientific data on these cultural practices, and maybe where are the gaps in the data on these cultural practices. We'll use interdisciplinary approaches to explore the connection between health and other systems within a culture, and see how these systems inform one another. And what I mean is that health isn't separate from other systems, right? We see inequities in health with political, economic, right, racial spaces. And so health isn't separate from all of these other cultural types of systems. We'll also look at how we as a Western world may appropriate and oftentimes misappropriate different medical systems or health systems too. And so we'll explore how some of these non-Western healing systems are being incorporated into Western biomedicine, and look at all of these different perspectives. Now, the thing about this is that I am in no way the expert of these, right? And so really what I try to do is to just hold a space and facilitate for the experts to come in and share their expertise with the students. So we do a lot of guest speakers and a lot of reading. We'll do a lot of student-led class discussions. And the kind of ultimate, project for the course, it is a very individual project, research project, and then creative output, whether that's an essay, a presentation, I like some of these ideas of podcasts and very student-led, and how it is that they want to express their learning of a health and healing system. And we'll share that. So Again, I'm not the expert on these things, and we bring the guest speakers, experts, curanderas, practitioners from all over, these different healing systems will come in and share with us. But then the students themselves will share what it is that they're learning with each other too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was the last of the actual speakers we have today. I want to give you all such a big thank you for coming and speaking. I know that the recorded version of this is always such a helpful resource for students. We hear that a lot, that it's really beneficial for them in selecting their courses. So a big thank you to all of you. We're going to move forward with watching the videos for the students who are here. You're all welcome to stay if you want, but I know you have lives to get back to as well. So we're going to go ahead with that, but just again, a big thank you to you guys. And then with that, the next class that we're going to be going over is Humanity's Journey Towards Evil or Hope with Professor Harley, and he sent in a video for us to all watch.
Hi, I am Professor Bruce Harley. Here's a bit about me in my honors course. Humanity seems to have made great strides during our time on Earth, but we should not let this feeling make us too complacent and comfortable. Otherwise, we may become indifferent to human trauma and suffering, both past and present. Eventually, some may feel despair and be uncomfortable with the realization that something genuine is missing from their lives. To fill the void, one may seek to find a passion to guide them forward. This can take time. It did for me. My passion is teaching, which I did not begin doing until I was over 50. I have come to devote my teaching to refugees, especially those whom I have met, tutored, and mentored since 2010. They have taught me a great deal about life, including the true meaning of resilience and hope in the face of evil. They are not victims. They are survivors, and they are my heroes. In Honors 313, Humanity's Journey Towards Evil or Hope, I connect ideas from psychology, anthropology, and sociology, as well as events from world prehistory and history. Just to give you a sample of these ideas, they range from neuroplasticity to ethnocentrism, metaphors of culture, what has been called the original affluent society, the problem of identity, and restorative justice. And to give you a sample of the events, they range from domestication to ethnic cleansing and genocide, and especially to refugees fleeing harm in search of a home. I teach to raise awareness of our collective capacity for mass evil and cruelty, and far more importantly, of our collective capacity for empathy, forgiveness, and reconciliation. I conclude my course by asking, which path do we choose? The choice is ours to make, but not alone. Despite our differences, we have much in common. It is time for us all to build on that commonality and work towards a far more sustainable world filled with hope. This is my message. I encourage my students to take it with them. During our semester's journey, my students complete brief reading and viewing assignments for each class. They also compose 3 reflections, each consisting of an outline of 2 to 3 pages, accompanied by PowerPoint slides. These reflections cover course content midway through and at the end of the semester. Course content includes 2 very inexpensive books required for the course. The first is Ishmael, An Adventure of the Mind and Spirit. The second is Light at the Edge of the World. In addition, there's always some type of extra credit which can include tutoring, local high school or college refugee and immigrant students. I look forward to meeting you all in the fall.
All right, so that was Humanity's Journey Towards Evil or Hope. I noticed we have a new person in the Zoom right now, so I just wanted to say the professors who came to spoke did finish and already leave. So we're going over some videos from professors who weren't able to make it, but we will be posting a recording of the Zoom on our honors YouTube and emailing that out. So if you missed the beginning, totally fine. There's still going to be a way to access that. Moving on to our next class, it's going to be Literature and Law with Professor Asim. And let me get the link up to that. Sometimes Zoom makes it hard to click through things. So let's see.
Hi, my name is Tishna Hasem, and I'm a lecturer in the Department of English and Comparative Literature. I'm also a criminal defense trial attorney. So my section of Honor 313, Law and Literature, is all about following the fictional depictions of the justice system in the United States and beyond. So to that end, our class format will be largely discussion-based seminar style. In terms of workload, you will have one research paper that's usually due in about week 12 or 13. That is about 8 to 10 pages. You will also have smaller journal style opinion.
Right, it looks like there may be an issue with this video. There's only about 20 seconds left, and I will be sending out the course descriptions as well. If anyone would like the direct link to this video sent to them as well, I can provide that. But with that, moving on to our next course is the Economics of Climate Change with Professor Abman, and we have that video up as well.
Hello, my name is Ryan Abman, and I'm an environmental and natural resource economist here at San Diego State University. I'm delighted to introduce to you what class is actually going to be brand new to me, and that is the Economics of Climate Change that I'll be teaching for the Weber Honors College this fall. In this class, we want to cover the economic forces that lead to excess greenhouse gas emissions that lead to global climate change, as well as the economic consequences.
I'll try to reload that real quick and see if maybe it's an issue on my end.
Hello, my name is Ryan Abman, and I'm an environmental and natural resource economist here at San Diego State University. I'm delighted to introduce to you what class is actually going to be brand new to me, and that is the Economics of Climate Change that I'll be teaching for the Weber Honors College this fall. In this class, we want to cover the economic forces that lead to excess greenhouse gas emissions that lead to global climate change, as well as the economic consequences of this changing climate. We will also discuss some of the policies that may or may not allow us to escape kind of the worst case scenarios that some of the climate models predict we should expect. This class will be a mix of discussion as well as kind of lecture-oriented material. I hope to provide students the opportunity to present either different topics or different research areas themselves. Grading will probably be a combination of exams, some papers, as well as feedback. And while I plan to seek out a course textbook, we'll also probably draw from a lot of popular press media articles, as well as academic research articles to kind of paint kind of the broadest picture and give you kind of the cutting edge research that is happening in this topic. So I hope this class appeals to you. And if so, I look forward to seeing you in the class in the fall.
All right. So I believe that is the last of the Honor 313 classes that we have videos of. Once again, the course descriptions are available for all classes. And then up next, we have another 413, which is going to be called Inequity, Stigma, and Health. So with that, we'll play this video.
One day, when I die, Rewind the heart attack. What power precipitated it? Unfurl the tumor. What policy prescribed it? Dissect the culture, not just my corpse. Diagnose the world. Hold one big stethoscope to its heart and listen. Is it breathing or is it weeping? Hello, my name is Martha Crow, and that's an excerpt from one of the materials we'll be using this fall for my course called Health, Inequity, and Stigma. I'm not sure that there's ever been a more important time to study the health inequities that exist in this country, and I'm hoping that this class will be a journey that we take together to understand why these health disparities exist and what we can do together to make the world a kinder, gentler, and healthier place for everyone. I work at the Institute for Public Health here at SDSU, so you'll be learning a lot about public health in this class, and it will definitely have a public health bent to it. But my graduate degree is in applied child development, my undergraduate degree is in anthropology, and before I came to the IPH, I worked in child advocacy. So we will definitely be taking a multidisciplinary approach. We'll be using materials from all sorts of disciplines and hopefully having some fun watching some TED Talks, listening to some podcasts, reading some research, and maybe some literature. It should be a lot of fun. For this course, we're actually going to use what's called an emergent curriculum, which is a term from early childhood education that essentially means we are going to study what emerges as interests of yours. So as we move along, you'll get to identify health conditions that you're curious about and interested in, and together we will figure out how to learn about them. I'm really excited to do that with you. In terms of coursework, my goal is not to burden you with a really heavy workload. Instead, I hope to engage you, to get you to think deeply, to maybe change the way you think about yourself and the world just a little bit. And I really hope that in the process, perhaps you will become a little bit happier and a little bit healthier yourself. So each week we'll be doing a little bit of reading, maybe some listening and some watching, and I'll be giving you a mini quiz or asking you to write a small reflection just to show me that you're paying attention. You'll be engaging in a lot of classroom activities, and then you'll have two big projects. One in which you create an advocacy project where you'll try to educate people and perhaps change their minds about a health condition that you care about. You might be doing a TED Talk yourself, or designing a Twitter stream, writing a paper, creating a public awareness campaign, whatever gets you excited and interested. And then you'll have a final project where you make a class presentation about a people's movement that has had some success in addressing a health inequity. So come join me for Health, Inequity, and Stigma in the fall. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to meeting you.
All right, that was the last of the videos we have to share. Right now, I'll send the link to the presentation in the chat in case anyone wants to reference that. But thank you for showing up today. The recording will be posted on YouTube if you need to refer back to anything. But besides that, I think we're all good for today. Have a great rest of your night.